And I got to talking with him, and I'd look at him when he'd answer some question, and he would call the station attendant owner over.
I just got 3 more years to
and tell him that I didn't believe what he told me. And he'd say, if this man tells you, will you believe it? And I, well, maybe. And he'd tell me then. He was born so many moons. I don't think that was the word. Ago. And I couldn't believe that, and now I can't remember how many it was.
There was 2 guys.
And this station owner said, well, that I know is right.
Buster.
And I said, all right.
Huh?
And he was telling me about the horses that they had around there.
Well, I thought.
Well, see, now they're at Ruidoso.
I thought Ernest passed away.
They have
Eugene and Albert. Eugene was probably the one you're thinking about.
the biggest quarter horse races
They both
in the
live
country.
San Diego.
They're at in Muscalera Indian reservations.
What?
But here I
Ernest
was,
was
not
on
quite
that-
9 years
what was
old,
it?
or close,
Kind of a ranch
somewhere
down
around
there or
there.
something?
And I'm quizzing this
That was Wilma,
old
her
Indian,
sister, her husband.
and he's really, you know, just telling me about it.
What, did he
And I
pass
was
away?
wondering why
No.
we couldn't go on
He's
down
80
the
years.
mountains, and I was glad that we couldn't, because I was learning a lot,
While you were waiting.
yeah, about the Apache. That's the Apache Muscalera Apache Indian Reservation. It's up on top of the mountains there above Alamogordo. So anyway, that was one of the little trips, or part of one of the little trips.
Do you see Elsie and her husband?
And there's another one there
Haven't seen
that
them in quite a while.
I have written down
Card
about
from
us,
the other day.
Huh? Oh, you got a
We
card?
got a card from the other day.
about us traveling from Stamp, Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, I think I have something on that from last.
Yeah, all of the guys had bought Model T Fords. And Uncle Bill and Aunt Nettie and Nellie and Georgia was the only kids they had. They would go to Heavener to the movies. This was about maybe the first part of 1924. And there was a mountain there that, see, there wasn't any road. You had to drive miles and miles to get around that mountain to get 25 miles on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, the convicts, they brought the convicts in and started them on the west side of the mountain, putting a road through there to Stapp. And Papa, whenever they got to the top of the mountain and a little over it toward our side, he bought him a Model T Ford and had it shipped in by train. And he built it was just a chassis. He windshield and I guess a top, I'm not sure.
It didn't have
So when
a
did-
truck bed.
Yeah.
No, it didn't have anything.
When did they move?
And he built a bed and put on it. It was just exactly
And this
the
looks like
size
it's outside their house there. It's
that
that
fit
kind of
between the wheels,
Yeah.
the back wheels, and came up to the back of the seat.
They must have left Oklahoma.
and back a few feet over the back wheels. And then he built he made that a solid box, except with a tailgate that let down. Then he built what he said was an overjet, which brought it out about a foot on each side, and then up a little ways. Just exactly the size of a full-size mattress. And he put a floor in that and put their bed on there, or our bed. And underneath had everything else we owned was under there. And then he built what they called a grub box, and had groceries and the tin plates and cups and things, tableware that we would use on this trip. Got all of that ready, and then he put bows on there and put white canvas over it, fastened that all down, really snug. And by this time, by the time he got that finished, the convicts had come back in. And I think it was,
I don't remember now.
well, they had been away for a while for some reason. Then they came and finished the road down to Stapp. Well, then Grandpa and Grandma, they had a wagon and a team of horses. And don't ask me what color they were. It seemed to me like they were white. And they had their three youngest kids and all of their stuff in this wagon with his team. Well, they started up the mountain early in the day, and we left in our Model T Ford a little later in the day. And from there to out close to Shawnee, Oklahoma, we spent most nights together, with us in our Model T and them in their wagon and team. And I never could figure that out. How did we manage to spend the nights together?
Yeah.
Well, then our
July,
Ford
the early part of 24.
come to where it couldn't climb a hill out close to Muskogee, Oklahoma. And there was a guy walking along the road, and my dad asked him if he could drive a car, and he said yes. So Papa got him to get in and drive while him and Mama and I pushed. Of course, I did a lot, you know. I must have been all 5 going on 6. And we got almost to the top, and this guy stripped the gears in the back end. So then he got out and helped us push it on up and off of the road under a oak tree. And I never heard so many cars in my life as passed during the night on this road. Well, I guess it was the main road from going into Muskogee from
The old folks left in the wagon they beat north.
and I'll find out where.
More dependable.
What, Mr. Green, you got a car or whatever?
You leave my daddy alone. I can say what I want to about him.
But you can't.
You should see this little Taylor, see this little boy, he's not 4 years old, well, you saw him.
I saw it here a while ago.
And
Or,
so he was working
no,
on
this
her
is
car,
Ohio.
she was working on her car about that time, and I looked out there one day and he's under there flattering.
Anyway, that was a real busy road.
The other cars and trucks could get up the hill though.
Well, evidently they didn't have any trouble. They were coming from like Tahlequah and
Oh, yeah.
Okmulgee and Seminole, and but that just seemed to be about the.
Yeah, but.
Anyway, while we were parked under a tree, and Papa caught a ride into one of the towns and bought a new axle to go in the back. Brought it back out there, and he was gone all night. Come in the next morning, and Mama was just practically walking the floor. Here we are out there in the country. You couldn't even see a house, nowhere.
Oh, then you had, did you have Wilburn with you?
Yeah, he was a baby.
A year old or something like that, yeah. He was born in 23, so.
Maybe he was a year old. He was awfully
Most
sick.
kids.
We almost lost him. And anyway, why?
So I always said I still got hope
Uh,
for him.
Papa put the
And he's 14.
axle in.
Uh-huh.
We all loaded up.
So it working now.
He cranked it up,
And she's going to school.
got in,
Finally getting around.
and instead of it going
Yeah,
forward,
she's
it went
doing good now.
backward.
She's going to be a court
It did
reporter.
upside down.
He put the axle in backward.
Too bad she didn't do that.
So we had to
Yeah.
all pile out, and
She could've went to
he got
school
it all
after she was
fixed up.
22 years old.
pull the axle
They
and
don't do that
put
now.
it in the
That's
other
all they
way.
do now.
This time, I guess we waited until got the car started. Yeah, it worked all right. So we got in and went on up to where is Oklahoma City?
That's over in the middle here.
We got up to Earlsboro right here.
That's where one of the other, that's where what, Eugene or
Huh?
Leroy was,
Yeah, that's where Leroy's. Well, I'm not sure. I think we came here maybe to Seminole.
Uh-huh.
And there's Tecumseh over here a little ways in Shawnee.
That's where you came to when you left down there.
Well, that's where we were going, was Shawnee. And we came out of Shawnee then. Papa worked there for a while, and it's the first time I seen a flush toilet
Is that right?
in a house, in a residence.
That was
They were in hotels.
Yeah.
And I'd spent some of my earlier years
They
in
had
hotels.
Tank, flush tank
Up above, yeah.
We saw one of those when we were.
Well, that one in this house come near scaring me to death.
Old slave cabin that had been
Uh,
built into it.
You sit down
And they had
on the
those-
toilet, and when you got up, it flushed. You know, you didn't reach up and
Oh,
pull
you
a
just-
chain or anything. You got up, and that,
That tripped something, huh?
yeah,
Well, they have some of those now.
Yeah, I know.
yeah. But I never had run into anything like that, but it only took the one time.
Yeah.
But that was enough. Of course, after that, well, I knew it, that was in our apartment that we got there in Shawnee. And then we moved out to Earlsboro, and that's where Papa got a job plowing, I think it was, planting wheat and oats and things like that, and where the tornado almost got us. And various little things like that. But anyway, I'm not sure. Now, all of my uncles, as a matter of fact, they lived on the place where we were, out of Shawnee. Uncle Bill and Aunt Nettie and Uncle Henry and Aunt Loney.
Yeah, these all together.
Yeah, we were all right there together, but I don't remember seeing Grandpa and Grandma after that.
On the green side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tarwater.
Or Tarwater side.
I think they must have eventually come on out to New Mexico instead of sticking around too long there in Oklahoma.
Well, didn't they, the Tarwaters, did they end up in California first?
No, well, yeah. Uncle Tom came out first. And then,
He came about 29, didn't he?
oh, no, that's when Grandma and Grandpa came out. 1929. Uncle Tom
Oh, he
came out a couple of years earlier than that. I don't know where he left them, but anyway,
He left them at Alamogordo.
he left them at Alamogordo, but between the time we left Stapp and Alamogordo, I don't know where they were.
Where were they when your grandfather died? Featherston?
Yeah. And Grandma, I don't know whether she died here at Manteca or she's buried down there, same place he is, I think. But Uncle Tom came back to Alamogordo to get them.
Tom and Homer didn't live at Manteca once he passed away. They was down there at Granada working for that.
Well, they were all at Tipton
I know, but they,
for quite a while.
Tom and Homer already came up to Granada and working for that
At Calpac.
no, that doctor had a lot of land back there.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, we came out and I can't remember where we were. I think we went to Grandma and Grandpa's, and then we went on over to Las Cruces, and Papa and I picked cotton, and then we went back to Alamogordo, back to Grandma and Grandpa's, and Amy was born. She was born on December 22nd, 1928. And there's in Alamogordo. And then Papa got a job at Southwest Lumber Company and got us a house. We lived on one side of 7th Street, I think it was, and Aunt Nanny and Johnny and Mary and Albert and Bud lived right across the street from us. They had lived up in the college addition, which was out of town, and then Uncle Will died, and they moved down just across the street. And Uncle Henry, and his wife lived right next door to us in a real nice house. course, we lived in the, well, it wasn't a bad house, but it kind of give you the idea of a sharecropper's house. And this is right in the middle of the residential district in Alamogordo. Well, a little while later, when Papa's job got going pretty good, well, then we moved over to 10th Street, and better.
Moved uptown.
Then, right after we moved up there, well, then Uncle Henry and his family decided that that house they were living in wasn't quite what they wanted. So they moved up between us and town, the main part of town.
And that's where they lived when they moved, came to California.
God, all those years. That was in 1929. But anyway, in the meantime, Uncle Tom came back from California to drive Grandpa and Grandma and Uncle Omer and Aunt Valley back to California. Well, Aunt Faye, Mama's next to baby sister, her and her family, about 5 kids and husband, was living there in Alamogordo. I mean, the whole clan, you know, moved out there.
Followed each other.
And so she was going to send one of her boys. Aunt Nanny was going to send one of hers. And Mama was standing there and she says, they don't need any of them. And said, well, we want them to go. Well, when Uncle Tom came out, he said, you kids get out of there. I'm taking Mom and Papa and, or Ma and Pa and Omer and Valley.
Well, didn't Roy come with him?
No.
He came later, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then he was working, last time I talked to you, you thought it was around 1926 that he got hurt on a horse, so it must have been a little bit later than that, because that was...
Oh, yeah, that was while we were still in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Okay, that was before you went to...
Yeah, that was
Okay.
before we even went out to Shawnee and
Okay.
like that. That was, no, that was after we'd been out to Shawnee and we came back down there. And then he worked over in the other mountains then for the railroad. There had been a sawmill when we moved in there was a sawmill, but he went to work for the railroad making ties. And he bought, whenever the sawmill closed down, why then he bought 2 of the sawmill houses and made us 1 house out of the 2. Then he decided that, well, I needed to go to school. So we moved out to Clayton, and he had somebody come in and take our house all apart and move it to Bevins, just outside of Clayton, and build us a bungalow. We didn't stay there very long. I don't think I went to school but about a month. And then he sold the house and he sold something else and bought him another vehicle, and we headed out for New Mexico. In the meantime, going by Uncle Jim and Aunt Edna Russell at Ardmore, out close to Ardmore, Oklahoma. I had Papa's baby sister and her husband. And they were going to go with us. Well, they had to get a vehicle. So they got a vehicle and trailed us out to Levelland, Texas. And we left them there, and went on to Alamogordo. And that was in 1928.
And so you were in Alamogordo for a while then.
We came there in 1928. Amy was born there, and I went to school there. And then we moved to Tularosa, which is all of maybe 7 miles away. And we lived there, and I went to school there. And Robert was born there.
Oh, near Alamogordo.
Well, he actually was born in Tularosa,
Uh-huh.
which is
It's more
Right
than
there.
7 miles, isn't it?
about 7 miles.
And then, so last time I talked, you thought it was around 1930 or 31 that there was the incident where he got shot.
Yeah, that was in Alamogordo.
That was in Alamogordo.
That was before Robert was born.
So this is just older stuff. Now, when were you in Texas at the, was it the King's Ranch? Is that
Oh, that was,
much later? Oh, yeah, because my dad was into his late teens by then.
yeah,
It's as good as the ones you.
I was, I just had my 21st birthday. You're making me seasick. Somebody is moving the table.
Oh, the door. Oh.
No, I could, wondering, if I'm floating.
Earthquake.
Well, we've had them here that almost threw me out of the chair.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, that was in 1940
Yeah,
is when I came
the ones we had,
Uh-huh.
out there to the King's Ranch. That's when they went out there too.
those, they'll never get oranges like that.
So there was 10 years there at Alamogordo for a while, and then
You want the whole bit?
just maybe cruise by.
Okay, Robert was born in Tularosa, about 7 miles from Alamogordo. And we left, Papa got a Dodge sedan with all of the glasses all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
And we headed out. He was going to preach at Fort Sumner. So we left there and went over to Fort Sumner. And I started school again. And then we came on down to Melrose, and he held a meeting there. This is